where the blade was truth, where kingdoms burned, and memory walks in armor still. This is Iron and Ash, the projectile. It starts with a stone, hurled by hand. A warning, a death sentence, a revolution in motion. The earliest weapon, thrown, not swung. From the slings of shepherds to the hands of kings, it is the weapon that made distance deadly. David stood with a sling and brought down a giant. His stone was not just symbol, it was speed and will and a precise release. The slingshot, simple physics. Elastic force, still used today in street fights, in prisons, in rebellion. Quiet, portable, and just as deadly. Then came the arrow. Archery changed the battlefield. Range became power, stealth, timing, a whisper of wind, then silence, then collapse. The English longbow, fired from behind cover, turned knights into targets. Agincourt, Crécy, arrows falling like rain. Crossbows brought more force, less training. The church called them unholy, too easy, too lethal. A weapon that democratized death. Then the blowgun, from indigenous tribes to covert operatives. Poison-tipped darts, used in jungles, used in assassinations. Silent, patient, precise. Blowguns were tools of the forest and the spy. In the Amazon, hunted game fell silently. In Cold War alleys, a dart ended a life with no sound. A breath held long enough to rewrite history. Throwing knives danced through the air, deadly in the hands of a trained few. Used in duels, in traps, as tricks of the trade. The circus and the battlefield, each throw a risk, each spin calculated. But everything changed with fire. Gunpowder shifted the scale, the muzzle loader, smoke and spark. A slow process, but final. War became thunder. Then the cannon roared. Walls fell, ships sank, lines broke. In the American Civil War, cannons became instruments of strategy. Shiloh, Gettysburg. Big guns wheeled and dug in, shells ripping through lines. Technological dominance tested in real time, and some cannons stood out, like Tsar Cannon in Russia. More display than destruction. But the message was clear. We can hurl death, farther than ever before. Napoleon used artillery as extension of mind, moving guns like chess pieces, breaking lines before soldiers touched. It was his hammer and his voice. In Italy, the shotgun. Pietro Beretta's name echoed in valleys. A factory over 500 years old, passed from generation to generation, building weapons for hunters, for armies, for nations. Then came Colt. Samuel Colt, the peacemaker, won the West. 6 shots and confidence, every man suddenly equal. The myth of the cowboy became fact, because a man could carry fire on his hip. The Colt revolver brought frontier justice. In a saloon, on a dusty road, a man could now settle a dispute at 10 paces. The West was not tamed by law, but by repeating fire. John Moses Browning designed the 1911 .45 ACP, a gun that still holds, carried by soldiers, by officers, reliable, powerful. It was not a moment, it was an era. And in Austria, Gaston Glock, reinforced polymer, simplified mechanism. Modern warfare molded into plastic and steel. From militaries to movies, it became the face of the everyday firearm. Capacity changed the rules. Clips and magazines. Reload less. Shoot more. The 6-shooter gave way to semi-auto, then fully automatic. Then came the AK-47, Mikhail Kalashnikov. Durable, simple, ubiquitous. Revolutionaries carried it across continents, from the rice paddies of Vietnam to the deserts of the Middle East. The projectile became politics. Rockets and missiles, launched from silos, from submarines, from shadows. Tanks and artillery, steel beasts, cannon-borne, rolling fortresses that break cities. World War II, the Luger pistol, precision-engineered, cold to the touch, wielded by officers in the Third Reich, symbol of status, symbol of menace. Hitler's engineers pushed the edge. V-2 rockets, long-distance death. Werner von Braun dreamed of rockets at 14. He designed them for war, but his eye was always on the stars. And after the war, he came to America, to NASA, to Apollo. We projected men into space, with the mind that once projected terror across Europe. He would later allude. He may have had help from elsewhere. Before we look up, we must look down. To Sarajevo, a pistol shot, a crown prince killed, and the world went to war. Dallas, 1963. Another shot. Another head of state. Another shift in the axis of power. The bullet changes everything in an instant. And we go further back, to the catapult. Stone flung by tension and torsion. Walls breached. Keeps cracked. The physics of siege. The trebuchet. Gravity harnessed into destruction. Launching plague corpses over walls. Terror as tactic. Disease as declaration. Kamikazes. Human projectiles. Planes piloted into targets. A nation willing to weaponize belief. Strategy became sacrifice. Velocity became ideology. Now we speak of lasers, of railguns, of silent weapons in orbit. What comes next may not make sound. Only consequence. We train AI to aim, to decide, to pull a trigger we never see. The projectile will evolve, but its essence remains. A hand reaching across distance to change fate. And as long as there's motion, there will be will behind it. Where memory walks in armor, and echo rides the air. This is Iron and Ash.